Live now.
And we are now live on February 13th, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are joining us today. I'm Kavita Kanaparthi, your host, and we have our guests Anusha and Saranj and my co-host Ali today to talk about self-sovereign identities, prominence in decentralization and in Web3 and in blockchain industry. Let me introduce you briefly to our guests, Anusha Garg and Saranj Guha. They have, let me start with Saranj. He's a seasoned Web3 consultant, blockchain developer, and data engineer with extensive project leadership experience. He has had over 7 years in the field. Saranj has also orchestrated transformative projects across various public chains like Ethereum, Binance, Polygon, as well as within the Hyperledger ecosystem. It's been a very it's been of keen interest for us of his Hyperledger experience, and his expertise spans across tokens, NFTs to supply chains, and management systems, and metaverse. His journey and roles, including full stack developer, smart contract engineer, solutions architect, has enriched his versatility in navigating the Web3 landscape. As an author of multiple white papers, including Solverse's white paper, he contributes to the discourse on blockchain innovation. You have to join and you have to actually follow him on LinkedIn. His articles are worth a good read if you're starting off in blockchain or if you're an expert in blockchain and in Web3 industry. They are of highly, very educational, very interesting, and opens up intense dialogue on the topic. He's always eager to connect with fellow industry professionals, and that's how we met him, and blockchain enthusiasts to explore collaborations and drive the future of decentralized solutions. That about Anusha. She is somebody that highly is experienced with SSI solutions. She's also built solutions that have been implemented across Bhutan. She's a dedicated solutions architect, technical project manager with a passion for blockchain technology. With a background in computer science and cybersecurity, Anusha has delved into blockchain for almost 5 years. Beyond managing projects, she thrives on blockchain development, solving problems, and exploring new ideas. She aims to leverage blockchain to enhance digital security and trust, which is what she brings to the table with what we are building at Solverse, moving beyond cryptocurrency. Let's connect with Anusha to explore the exciting potential of blockchain technology, both here today and also on her LinkedIn. You can find them both on LinkedIn and the Twitter handles as well, which you can find once we finish on most of our solvers posts and solutions. Having said that, I want to begin by asking them what brought them into SSI world. Both of them, if they could give a brief introduction about themselves. Saranj, we could start with you. Speak a few words about yourself. And I want to know mainly for the viewers and for myself, what brings you to self-sovereign identity industry?
Okay. Firstly, thank you a lot for the very detailed introduction.
Mhm.
Very nice words. Really obliged. So my journey in self-sovereign identity began with with like a recognition of the whole limitations of the traditional identity systems, slightly before I joined Solvers,
Mhm.
particularly in terms of privacy and security and user control.
Mhm.
Through my experience in working in various Web 2 and Web 3 based projects across domains,
Mhm.
especially with finance and identity based projects, I witnessed firsthand the need for a more decentralized and user centric approach to your identity management applications and solutions. This led eventually to start my journey and research towards SSI. And then eventually I joined here, and then we built our team. We explored the whole potential of SSI, eventually embarked on this journey to create like these revolutionary DID super wallet to address all the challenges that we recognized during our discovery session. So, yeah,
Thank
briefly.
you so much. Good evening. Anusha, on to you to understand your journey to SSI.
Yeah. So, hi everybody. So for me, I think I was introduced to SSI around 3 years back. Um, so my dive into the SSI world was drove by the passion of securing identities on social media platforms. From wherein I got into blockchain and then got into SSI eventually.
Mhm.
So coming into the SSI world, I discovered a lot of things that how decentralization can, ace the security of identity of a user, and then slowly it turned into something that I passionately want to work on. Like securing identities, helping people secure themselves, etc. So yeah, so that is how I got into SSI, and that is why I work with SSI. So yeah.
Great to hear. Let me give you a little brief about what Solverse does. Solverse is building an ecosystem of identity products, having understood the need for an ecosystem rather than a lone standing self SSID. So on the same front, Anusha and Saranj also work for Solverse, and we wanted to have them as speakers today to give a little bit more in-depth understanding of what Solverse is doing and why it's doing and what it's doing. Anusha, this is for you. From the time that you have joined Solverse, you have understood the journey from having a single DID based solution to the entire ecosystem that has been developed, and thanks to your contribution higher ideation research and how it can actually help. Tell us a little bit about the journey from a single DID solution to an entire ecosystem evolution.
Um, so like for the journey, like it's been it's been a journey with a fair amount of discussions, ups and downs, and everything. So wherein we started out with a basic idea of having a single sole ID based solution, to coming into ecosystem format wherein we are offering around 5 products now, that all aim towards personal security of an individual. Be it Soul Scan, be it Soul ID, be it the Soul Wallet, Soul Wrapper, everything targets how we can induce independence of the holder into the ecosystem, or in the current ecosystem for identity management. How we can make basically the holder the king for in the identity space, rather than making the servers the kings. So first that, and then how we delved into how we can integrate these products together to form a single solution, and how we can also use these as modular solutions for different projects. So yeah, so this has been a crazy journey till now, and with our MVP in our pockets now, I think we're somewhere heading towards moving towards a completion of the project, or targeting a completion of at least the basic features till the project. So yeah, so let's see how it works out now.
Great, great. And would you say that the solution arose from wanting to um, adhere to actually meet most of the SSI principles, right? The different principles of self-sovereign identity, and also the W3C principles of interoperability, immutability, and all of this. When you look at standalone solutions, only part of that is met. Does Solvers, meet all of these, the principles that you need to have or to meet, to have a complete solution?
Yeah. So my primary target since I joined Solvers was to adhere at a par level with the principles, or with the guidelines provided by W3CDIF for having a truly self-sovereign identity-based solution. With that, also, with our minds focused on decentralization and security, forming the base of our ideation, wanted to continue in the phase itself. So whenever we take a discussion or we think about a new feature to add to Soul Wallet or how the feature should be implemented, uh, the three or the two factors that are never out of our minds or that need to be there is one, we do not compromise on decentralization, and second, we do not compromise on security. And after that, taking it as the base, we construct our solutions.
Mhm.
There is no other way around for us. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Saranj, for you, when you began building the white paper, there was already a white paper in place, and what was your realization that brought you to build write the white paper as it is in the form that it is today, and what were the guidelines that you followed to bring about this to the forefront as an SSI complete solution?
Okay, starting with the white paper. So when I went through the first version of the white paper that we had in advance, I think that was very lengthy, to be honest. I have come across some projects that do have white papers that are in the range of 50 to 80 pages, yes. But honestly speaking, neither have I read them completely, nor has most of the people or the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Practically for the reason that uh, the main things that I look for in a project, be it from the investor perspective or from the developer perspective or as a user perspective, in all these three scenarios, if I have to read 50 pages just to understand that, maybe I'm going wrong somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
The information that needs to be conveyed to the end user, irrespective of who your audience is, after you've
Mm-hmm.
identified the right audience, should be
Mm-hmm.
very clear and very crisp and should be simple to understand. That part was, I think, it was simple to understand, of course, but then it was very lengthy, it was time consuming, it was slightly vague because of the extent of the content that was there in it. So I found ways to streamline it a little further, practically for the reason being, uh, when I write white papers, there are just two types of white papers that I generally write. One is the concept and the problem statement both exist. So, and similar projects also exist. So that time we write a little more technical white paper. So we have a little more insights on the technical front as to how are we building the solution and how is it going to impact the lives, or how is it going to be integrated with existing solutions or possible client interactions. And the second is like a startup where Solverse. We were in the initial ideation phase itself. We were
Mm-hmm.
clear as to the ultimate outcome that we wanted to build, but we hadn't really started building on the whole solution part of it. So in this scenario, it was very important to establish what the problem statement was, what
Mm-hmm.
are the identified challenges, what are the existing competitors, how are we planning to solve them, each and
Mm-hmm.
every problem statement, like Anusha
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. And once you have identified ways to solve them on a
Mm-hmm.
very high level, how could it
Mm-hmm.
potentially resolve most of the users and simplify future digital interactions of each and every user? So I try to convey this with the white paper. Yeah, and seems like I've been a little successful in this. Of course, this is just the first version of it. Try to cover as much details as possible. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as we have more advancements made in our product, once we are done with integrations, probably we'll have a little more additions and updates on the white paper too.
Great. The white paper is available on Solverse's website, developers and enthusiasts alike. Please go read that and send us your questions if you have. And if you have any suggestions, we're more than happy to, look them over, and Saransh can, have a look at them. Anusha, in terms of the challenges that SSI solutions face in the current industry, in terms of adoption, scalability, and accessibility. Could you tell us the factors that impede these, adoption of the solutions at this time?
Um, okay. So I think the major challenge is, I think, the adoption part, right? Wherein
Mm-hmm.
the move when people think about moving from a centralized database system to a decentralized system,
Mm-hmm.
uh, makes them lose control first.
Mm-hmm.
Second, the trust factor, that is like decentralization trusts in zero trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which most of the industry we target is not fully aware about how it works, right? So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I think knowledge, the lack of knowledge for blockchain and how blockchain based proofs are derived.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Second, can be, the adaptation. Like, people are not ready to adopt at a scale.
Mm-hmm.
They think that, getting such a major change into their systems would not, maybe, like, just moving from the traditional systems which are centralized and moving entirely them to an SSI based system,
Mm-hmm.
bypassing a central layer of, wherein a combination of a centralized and a decentralized system exists, like for example digital certificates,
Mm-hmm.
something like that exists. So
Mm-hmm.
moving from there till a totally decentralized system wherein the user is in control, I think
Mm-hmm.
people care that how it does not have many cons, right? They do
Mm-hmm.
see that there are many pros, but the cons are very limited, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think somewhere people are hesitant as of now. They want to see some kind of adoption coming, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be the risk takers or the first generation to adopt it, right? So yeah,
Okay.
but it is an eventual truth, like that, as technology advances, people need to, update the systems as well. So maybe the big change that everybody is expecting
Mm-hmm.
comes with SSI itself. So yeah, fingers crossed. People, start understanding. It's like, once people understand the system, once people understand how we are deriving the security, or how
Mm-hmm.
we are saying that it is secure, and
Mm-hmm.
how the general population also understands that why SSI or what is SSI. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is what is going to be the driving force behind, the mass adoption of these systems.
Great. Would you say that some of the features that are not present today in most of the solutions in SSI, interoperability, partial centralization, those things at an enterprise level and also at an individual level, have they been impeding adoption and accessibility to for people to actually begin using it and at a scale? Let's
Hmm.
say I adopt a certain SSID, and am I able to use it in a daily life, or is it not possible at this time because we have non-interoperable DIDs out there? Could you expand a little bit more on that?
Okay. So as of now, the expansion has, like, or the adaption has just started with SSI. Like,
Mm-hmm.
with different countries starting to accept SSI, different enterprises working on it, etc. So, interoperability is a challenge for bigger organizations or the bigger industry, for example, the governments, etc. Wherein
Mm-hmm.
at enterprise level, I think it's about more towards wherein an understanding level is concerned, that they
Mm-hmm.
need to, make it, or, from ground up they need to educate everybody around it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wherein people might not even be aware of how a crypto wallet works, and
Right.
there are used a wallet application.
Mm-hmm.
So that understanding is required for them to be shared, right? Or they
Mm-hmm.
need to share this requirement, and then themselves also they need to, get on hands on how these things are working, why these features are more efficient, etc. So like we say, even Bitcoin was not accepted on day one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even SSI might take some time, but obviously it will become the king soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
um Saranj, understanding crypto and understanding blockchain are two different things, is if I may say so. Where have you found the difficulty in explaining to people how identity fits into this? industry, so to speak, and not worry about it, the problems faced by crypto, crypto buyers, crypto traders, and all of that, and understand the difference between what a Web3 project or a blockchain project is and what cryptocurrency is, so to speak, and how the merger happens. And where does identity uh, lie in somewhere in the merger of these two?
Okay, specifically, whenever I talk about a certain use case or a certain problem statement, I generally go with the standard approach of first trying to understand and explain the existing process, the traditional process, and the
Mm-hmm.
second, the process when blockchain as a technology comes as into the picture. Now,
Mm-hmm.
even when we are designing a solution, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to a product, be it an application or a web-based application or a mobile application, we try
Mm-hmm.
to keep the UX journey as simple as possible and as close to the existing Web2 systems or something that they're used to, or
Mm-hmm.
something that can drive easy adaptability in that sense. Blockchain, and when I switch back to explaining the whole concept of blockchain and SSI and crypto per se, now,
Mm-hmm.
blockchain is the underlying technology. In very simple terms, it's like an evolved database that is immutable in nature, which
Right.
comes with its own set of features, say, so to speak, like security, trust, uh, and so on and so forth, depending on which kind of blockchain or ledger do we choose, be it the consortium based, be it the private one, be it the permission one, be it the public, and so on and so forth, or the
Mm-hmm.
hybrid ones for that matter, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then comes the applications. So the in the applications, one of the applications is a financial asset, some a token, any asset that holds any financial value, or
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. And now that's where the applications like NFTs, fungible tokens like cryptocurrencies, or semi fungible tokens, soul bound tokens, these come into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Similar application comes to other use cases, real life use cases. For example, tracking and tracing your a product right from
Mm-hmm.
its initiation to the end delivery. Now
Right.
that's where blockchain can come into the picture, because, for example, this was one of my dissertation in my master's as well. So at that time, this was the peak of COVID, and
Mm-hmm.
you were getting your vaccines at
Mm-hmm.
your nearest government hospital, or for that matter, private hospitals. You don't know where this vaccine has originated from. There were
Mm-hmm.
many instances across the world, from
Mm-hmm.
Africa to US to Europe to even India, where there were fake vaccines delivered and
Mm-hmm.
actually used.
Mm-hmm.
To stop this counterfeiting, it was very important to have a complete discretionary flow of where
Mm-hmm.
the raw materials were sourced, where the vaccine was produced, how many
Mm-hmm.
times did it change hands, and ultimately it was received at the place where you are actually getting the vaccine. So, which
Right.
the end user can actually verify just by
Mm-hmm.
scanning, as simple as scanning a QR code and checking the whole list of your history of
Supply chain.
movement
Yeah.
of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is where blockchain as a technology can come into the place. You know for sure, first of all, I can achieve this, just this as an application, without the blockchain. But what blockchain came into the picture, it proved that, okay, this is giving you the transparency, but not just the transparency, it is making
Mm-hmm.
it immutable. So no one can tomorrow come in and say, I'm giving you fake data. You can
Right.
tomorrow say as a user that this is your website, right? Or this
Mm-hmm.
website is handled or managed by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So they can populate any data, which
Mm-hmm.
which may or may not be verified, may or may not be true. But
Mm-hmm.
with blockchain into the picture, they can know for sure this is not as a ledger in control of a separate third party organization or centralized organization. So this
Mm-hmm.
needs to be tabulated each and every time there has been a change of hands, and this can
Mm-hmm.
never be mutated, or this can never be updated per se, right? So blockchain as a technology comes into the picture like this. And I do see sometimes people come up with some business use cases which do not particularly require blockchain or crypto for that matter. That's when I have to explain and break it down to them that blockchain is a technology. So even if I'm including blockchain or crypto for that matter, it should simplify my journey to some extent, add some value to the business.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's not a very practical solution or a practical use case, right? So yeah, I think
How
breaking
does
the bigger
SSI fit
problem.
into, the exact solution that you gave is, Saransh,
Mhm.
of tracing the origins of a vaccine? How does, SSI fit into being in enabling this particular solution?
Okay. To explain it to you in detail, there would be multiple ways you can probably enhance the solution. But to start off with, the
Hmm.
each once the vaccine has been produced in a particular factory, just a very
Hmm.
simplistic flow to start off with, and
Hmm.
then it has changed multiple hands, right?
Hmm.
So each and every time an organization, and each and every time it has changed hands, we can
Hmm.
onboard them as sort of verifiers or identities on the blockchain, right?
Hmm.
And each and every time it has changed hands, there can
Hmm.
be a sort of credential, like a VC of sorts, which can
Hmm.
possibly potentially just capture this detail of when it changed hands from which person to which person, which organization to which organization. For example, even for logistics, people do have multiple organizations and sub organizations. When it comes to your hospital also, or the pharmacy also, there are distributors, and then there are the stockists, and then it comes to the pharmacy, and then it comes to the ultimate, hospital for that matter. So each and every time there has been a change of hands, since all these organizations are on the blockchain, they all
Hmm.
have their identity, and so does the vaccine. Vaccine also has its own identity as
Right.
as a independent product per se,
Hmm.
like an
Hmm.
unique RFID number of sorts. So
Right.
this can be traced along with this, each change of hands being tried on the blockchain, and this
Hmm.
can be summed up into a VC
Hmm.
eventually. And whenever someone has received a particular vaccine, the
Hmm.
corresponding VC can be given to him or her, and they can have a proof for the future that this is the way it changed hands across different organizations, and this is a
Hmm.
genuine piece that I received at the end of the day. Because
Right.
even the point at which it started, and
Hmm.
all the individual uh, you know uh, individual holders were all
Right.
verified and were on the network.
Absolutely. And that's a great supply chain and proof of, origins, proof of, delivery and everything, that the final product is actually, is authentic. And that's a great solution for supply chains, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. This can expand into multiple other things. For example, where were the raw materials for the vaccine sourced? So it can
Yes.
expand that side. Then it can expand for, easier
ESGs. Yeah.
manufactural,
Mm-hmm.
division and tracking and tracing, and
Mm-hmm.
even for international deliveries for that matter. That
Mm-hmm.
also comes with its own. And then sometimes not particularly with vaccines, but with some other high maintenance drugs, and so they're also maintained under specific temperatures. So this can
Mm-hmm.
also be an additional one, wherein you're also taking into consideration at what temperature, at what point was it stored. If it beats the particular criteria that it has gone beyond it, which could
Mm-hmm.
potentially harm the product, you can also
Mm-hmm.
keep a track of it on blockchain, with or
Right. The
without
point.
SSI. Like, it's essentially an
Yeah.
application that we're building with blockchain.
Great, great to know. So that, the effectiveness of, and the truth, the source of truth is always is immutable, and the point of failure can always be traced if there is one.
Absolutely.
That adds value to the solution. Great to
Yes.
hear. Anusha, I wanted to understand a little bit more about the underlying tech that is used to build SSID solutions, and also specifically what your choice has been, and why are you using that?
Yeah, sure. So for us, no, for like going in the general sense, with SSI, we have a lot number of agents that we need to use that are basically designed around the specifications provided by DIF and W3C, that
Mm-hmm.
how certain protocols need to work, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
based on different ledgers there are different kind of we call them agents, basically set of rules or definitions on
Mm-hmm.
how these things need to communicate, on how these things need to share credentials, verify the proofs, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
different ledgers have different capabilities. For us, I went through the AFJ route, wherein AFJ initially started with Indie, the 5 Indie ledgers compatibility,
Mm-hmm.
and now also has the ability to be compatible with checked.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, AFJ had opened doors a while back for different ledger compatibility, which we were looking into as well, right? Wherein we can, incorporate different kind of ledgers, and when we are looking into interop solutions, we would want different kind of ledgers to be available to our dispose for our, use,
Mm-hmm.
right? So so that is one base why I chose AFJ at the base. Then with AFJ, we have an ease of integration with the mobile services as well, with the React Native agent available or React Native implementation available for us. So yeah, so that was a wise choice to make, since we wanted to, speeden up our process till a certain point, till, using what is available. And now, since our MVP is done, we can start building out the parts that, will be unique to us,
Mm-hmm.
or will be something that we will create, right? So that is what our contribution to the SI industry will be, right? So now, since when we made this decision, we were at zero mark, just starting off at the base. So we wanted to, take the first sprint very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at the first sprint, we just, jumped with AFJ in the track. And
Mm-hmm.
now is the time that we have started, building out our unique solutions with Soul ID the first, the Soul Scan the second, and, Sologram coming in third. So with AFJ in tow, and, using Nest as our available framework, and, having both the applications set up, done, and everything. So yeah, so that is why, or that is how the tech stack is placed for us.
Mm-hmm.
And um, yeah, I think that is fair enough, like an answer for you on the tech side.
Okay.
Regardless of this, for I think for Ethereum, we're using EtherJS to, communicate with Ethereum based, for Ethereum based communication or EVM based communication, be it on Polygon or be it on EVM as of now that we're targeting. So for that, we're using EtherJS as of now. Just to compare it with Web3.js, like we had some pros and cons that we discussed, me and Sarah, and we sat and discussed, and we came to a conclusion that EtherJS is the best route to go through. So yeah, so there were some ups and downs, some discussions, and then our tech stack came into being, and very soon we'll release it for everybody as well to review so that people can go through the code, they can refer it, they can use it, etc. Yeah.
Okay. Great to hear. Saranj, on the
Also, this
same
is
front.
probably
Yeah.
on the same front. I would just add a couple of things.
Sure.
So this is more on the generic front. Whatever Anusha explained is very synonymous to our solution and the way we have chosen to deal with or build our product. But then
Mm-hmm.
the whole underlying technology behind SSI is revolves around the whole concept of blockchain and decentralization per se. There are
Mm-hmm.
identity solutions in the market, but
Mm-hmm.
our proposal is the decentralized nature of it, which comes with blockchain. So
Mm-hmm.
developing the DID super wallet that we did, we
Mm-hmm.
leverage blockchain as a secure and immutable record keeping, ensuring that users' identity credentials are tamper-proof and verifiable at the same time, and they have complete control over their VCs or their data or their credentials or their personal information, for that matter, in the form of a VC. Additionally, we utilize certain cryptographic techniques such as digital signatures, zero knowledge proof eventually, to enable secure authentication and credential issuance.
Mm-hmm.
Interoperability will come eventually when, for first of all, to start off with, DIDs and the VCs playing a pivotal role in ensuring compatibility across ledgers, like Anusha mentioned, and eventually across different networks for anyone else building on top of these different public networks. So, just
Right.
breaking it down into five different parts, blockchain technology would be one of the crucial parts or bases of SSI solutions. Second would be your DIDs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, DIDs are basically the core components of an SSI ecosystem. like a universal method for identifying and interacting with your digital identity in a
Mhm.
decentralized manner. And then
Mhm.
comes the VC. VC
Mhm.
would be your digital document that actually contains the claims about an entity's attributes or qualifications. These
Mhm.
credentials are issued by trusted issuers and verified cryptographically by verifiers on the same network or using public keys. And then comes there are multiple other networks and ecosystems that have emerged. If someone wants to explore something else apart from what we have done or whatever Anusha explained, you can explore, say, the Sovereign Network or Ethereum network or the DID Alliance, and so on and so forth. And some protocols are also in the picture, like you heard from Kavita also. She spoke about W3C standards. These are like a decentralized identifier. Then there are VCs. So a W3C specification is basically outlining the structure and syntax of a particular VC. Then comes JSON LD. It's like a lightweight data interchange format. Then comes the JSON formats. So basically, by leveraging blockchain as a technology, DIDs, decentralized identifiers, verifiable credentials, interoperable standards, SSI ecosystem can provide users with like much more greater control over their digital identities while ensuring privacy, security, and interoperability across different platforms, applications, and different networks. Yeah.
Fantastic. I was just about to say on the same note, and you spoke on the same note. But there's one thing I want to ask you here, Saranj. Um, if you're speaking to developers who may be listening out there, or maybe will come across this video at some point in their YouTube in a scouting phase or what would you put out there as a motivation, as a challenge, as an inspiration, or inspire them to do? What would be the one key piece that you would encourage them to look into, explore, develop further to enhance SSI solutions as they are today, as far as the solutions are, and also the technologies that are available today, protocols that are available today, the private chains, the public chains, all of these things, right? So they're layer ones, layer twos. We're speaking about layer threes, all of that. Given all of this that is available to us today, and what we chose to develop an SSI solution, what would be the one piece that you would encourage developers to go after and enhance SSI solutions as we can provide to the public?
Okay, I will try to keep my answer a little more generic in that case
Sure.
because when it comes to our project, that
There's a
is,
catch there, so you might want to think. So I'm going to get to the catch.
yeah. So because the way we are building it in-house and eventually leading just a few parts of it for the open audience and the open developer community. But speaking of it a little more generically, as developers, there are numerous opportunities for them to contribute to the advancement of the SSI ecosystem in general or as a whole,
Hmm.
whether it's
Hmm.
through building decentralized identity solutions, creating interoperable protocols, or developing user-friendly applications. Because uh, a lot of uh, traction comes from the applications and user-facing applications for different use cases.
Hmm.
Sometimes some people decide to overcomplicate things, which doesn't
Hmm.
really help in adaptation anyways,
Hmm.
right? So user friendly applications are also one of the ways wherein they can contribute. There's immense potential to drive the adoption and innovation in this space,
Hmm.
right? By collaborating with industry partners, standard bodies, like you were mentioning about W3C standards, or say Hyperledger Labs as in an open developer community, or open source communities, right? Developers
Hmm.
can also play a crucial role in overcoming the adoption barriers and
Hmm.
realizing the vision of a truly decentralized and user centric digital identity landscape.
Hmm.
So when it comes to, I'll just break it down a little further. So when it comes to developing user-friendly applications, they can focus on creating intuitive and say user-friendly applications that leverage SSI principles for identity management, design interfaces that practically make it easy for the user to create, manage, and share their DIDs or digital identities
Hmm.
securely across the network. They can
Hmm.
build developer friendly tools and SDKs. So
Hmm.
development tools, libraries, software kits, or SDKs that simplify the integration of SSI functionality into existing applications and services. Because the
Mhm.
whole process of not everyone can do what Apple did, right? You cannot come
Right.
up with your own OS, your own device, and and expect everyone to adopt it. That's going to take
Mhm.
time. For mass
Mhm.
adoption, we need to come up with simplistic approaches, not just for the user, but also for the organizations to be onboarded and integrated, right? So provide fellow developers with resources that they need to quickly adopt and implement SSI solutions. You can also contribute to open source projects, like I mentioned. So participate in and contribute to open source SSI projects and initiatives. Collaborate with community to improve existing protocols standards. For example, you see that the Akamai library doesn't get a lot of updates very often as compared to AFJ. So if you are
Mhm.
very fluent with Python and you are very passionate about the indie ecosystem and the SSI proposal that they have come up with, there
Mhm.
are few pros of Akapai as a system too. But then on the mobile end, there isn't much as compared to
Mhm.
AFJ. So you can contribute there, collaborate with fellow community members, participate through DAOs as freelancers, as community members, as developers, develop these protocol standards and reference implementations, fostering innovation and interoperability in the whole SSI ecosystem. You can educate and advocate. You can host workshops, webinars, educational events to raise awareness about SSI principles and technologies. We participate as Solverse. We participate in multiple events and multiple
Mhm.
forums wherein we propagate the whole idea and the concept of SSI. So you can do the
Mhm.
same. You can be an advocate. You can collaborate with industry partners and collaborate with stakeholders through identity providers, enterprises, and government agencies also, because a lot of governments across the world are exploring this whole idea altogether, from Brunei to Japan to US to
Mhm.
India to Bhutan to Europe. Everyone, all these
Mhm.
governments are practically exploring these ideas,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to secure identity transactions. That's
Mhm.
the reason why DigiLocker and DigiYatra sort of solutions came into the being, which were not
Mhm.
there earlier in India also, right?
Mhm.
And you can explore multiple use cases and applications. We today are building an application and we are going to expand into as many venues and as many segments as possible, but it
Mhm.
also depends on the kind of business and the kind of clients we onboard. But
Mhm.
you as a user or as a developer can come up
Mhm.
with more and more use cases and applications where your SSI can probably fit in and give tangible benefits such as verification, issuance, access control, data sharing, proof of concepts projects. Basically, you don't even need to make a full type prototype. You can just come up with POCs just to show how your idea comes into the action and how it's addressing the real world challenges. And then towards the end of it, yes, you can also contribute towards the security and the privacy concerns. That is very generic towards any web 2 or web 3 solution. Web 2, because there is a centralized system in control of your data, your application. Tomorrow anything can happen, be it in terms of
Mhm.
ethical hacks or them controlling your data. And Web
Mhm.
3, because lack of awareness would be the key reason of it. Although decentralized in nature, although lack of centralized control in nature, but then there are still lack of actual detailed technical knowledge amongst
Mhm.
the wider audience, which
Mhm.
actually leads to these privacy concerns in Web3 systems. So you can prioritize security and privacy in your design as well as implementation of these SDKs when you're coming up with suggestions, so that you can come up with robust encryption, authentication, access control mechanisms to protect your users' personal data, ensuring compliance and privacy with the current regulations that you have in place. Of course, you can for this you can engage with standard bodies and consortiums if there exists any in a particular domain that you are working across. So yeah, probably a lot of ways you can contribute, collaborate, and then take SSI to the masses.
Fantastic. So, with all of that, could you give me one challenge that you may put out there that you may have in mind that you feel is very much necessary for the SSI industry, and in any particular topic, all encompassing SSI. Is there any particular area that you feel that maybe SolarWorks can, take, utilize a solution in the roadmap? or the entire SSI industry can utilize to make it available, like you said, to the masses, and make it more adoptable, more user friendly. The solutions that are, the more user friendliness there is to the solution, more adoption takes place. More security there is to solution, adoption takes place. Interoperability, yes, of course. In all of these aspects, is there any one particular, as Solverse is already developing some patent technologies, let's say some SolScan, SolWrapper eventually will be one of them. Would you encourage them to take up any of these and come up with a solution? And I'll tell you the catch
Absolutely.
with that.
Absolutely. But then again, not to praise ourselves, myself, or the whole team, Solver's team, but we have actually taken into consideration all these possible use cases and how we can actually evolve Solver's beyond what we are currently envisioning for our immediate roadmap as well. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So probably in the future, the way I see Solverse contributing to the whole space is after we have come up with our own product and these individual IPs that we've been talking about, probably we can set in some standards because we are going to be one of the first ones to probably work towards interoperability within the SSI space. So we can
Mm-hmm.
set in probably some standards globally that can be
Mm-hmm.
accepted, are secure,
Mm-hmm.
taking into consideration all the stakeholders, and these best practices and standards probably or principles could eventually be implemented across. For example, W3C is one such way, right, of a verifiable
Mm-hmm.
credential definition. But then
Mm-hmm.
that is still spoken of in pretty much all the DID solutions that anyone possibly aims to offer right now, but is
Mm-hmm.
practically not implemented in most of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, I would want, since we are going to be the pioneers, hopefully, fingers crossed,
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
interoperability between SSI ledgers,
Mm-hmm.
probably we can come up and derive certain standards to be followed
Mm-hmm.
eventually for others to build a solution on those lines, especially in this segment, this niche.
Okay. So let me put it out there. So what I had in mind is, if somebody can come up with any of the particular solutions that we're working on, any developers want to contribute or can develop any protocols to fit into our solutions, which is the interoperability, SolScan, which makes it device agnostic possibilities and all of that. A Solverse Foundation will be happy to fund them, and so that is something we're putting out there. The nature of the funding would depend on the solution that you propose to us, and if that fits into our solution, and even if it does not fit into our solution, we are happy to take it upon us to enable and bring this to the SSI world. And
Probably just to motivate them a little more, since you've declared this,
mhm,
one of the fields where we are currently not focusing at more, because we
mhm,
are coming up with multiple products, multiple IPs, we are trying to make our systems as secure as possible through the
mhm,
existing systems and cryptographic methods that are currently there
mhm,
in the market. But if
mhm,
someone from the developer community comes up with a relatively more secure and
mhm,
easily integratable verifying method, or for that matter like a cryptographic method just
mhm,
for encryption and decryption
mhm,
on probably sharing the data across the network, that
mhm.
would be one of the key places where I look forward to a lot of innovation and what probably the developer community could possibly come up with. Because one
Okay.
a way like your encryption techniques or any new cryptographic method that you come up with has applications across, not just in SSI systems. And since
Mhm.
we would be using it firsthand, you would also see it in action in an application already, in a product
Mhm.
already, and then you can promote it elsewhere.
Fantastic. So, all the listeners and would be listeners, take it upon yourself to work on this and get back to us. We'll be more than happy to evaluate your solution, and rest assured that that will be complete non-disclosure, and Solvers Foundation will be at the forefront of leading these innovations. Happy to have you guys. If you have anything, guys and girls, all of us. Um, I forgot to mention what Anusha does. Anusha is our chief architect, and she is true to her nature and true to her experience. She has driven this entire architecture from end to end, and based on that, I would like to ask her a few questions about, Anusha, what do you think, in terms of the adoption being driven in this, right? How does an SSI wallets technology require collaboration from different industry operators at this time? Let's say there are SSI solutions on different blockchains, on different by different companies, and being adopted by different enterprises. Let's say healthcare, banks, and all of that. In very compartmentalized situation at this time, to drive the adoption, what do you think all of the industry players should do to enable both community engagement at the individuals level and at the enterprise level?
Okay. Sorry. For this, I think, see, coming to the sectors of banking or healthcare, etc., there are some pain points that all the users face, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the adaptation should come from that point, first tackling the pain points of everybody. For me, like if I personally, if my bank tells me that you don't have to update your KYC every year, if there is no change, I'll be the happiest person on this earth. That I don't
Right.
have to go and again update my KYC every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I can assure that using SSI, this is a possibility. That
Okay.
sitting at my home, I can, just share a proof and my KYC process is done. Even the bank does not even need a KYC after SSI.
Mm-hmm.
So, with SSI, we aim to target those pain points that the users face.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I receive at least 10 to 15 calls on my phone, out of which only two are useful. Rest, everything is spam.
Mm-hmm.
Who's using my data? Where is my data coming to them from? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So all this can be handled using the VC scenario because the data has been shared by us to these various organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Wherein, even if I go on a site, I am mandatory, it is mandatory for me to log in.
Right.
Least to least, I have to use my email ID.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start getting spam emails. If I go to some, some store, some grocery store as well, they need my
Mm-hmm.
phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to give me offers, you give me directly. Why do you need my phone number only to give me offers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, using VCs, we can target these pain points for all the users today, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, coming to circling back to healthcare and banking, the
Mm-hmm.
basic I think problem that healthcare faces is,
Mm-hmm.
or we all face in the healthcare industry is that if today I meet with an accident at an uncertain place, the
Mm-hmm.
doctors won't be aware about my medical history, right?
Right.
Because my medical history either will be available in documents sitting at my home
Mm-hmm.
where people are not aware that I've met with an accident,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll be sitting in the servers of a secondary hospital where
Mm-hmm.
I might have, gone for some testing, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So, if at all I do have VCs
Mm-hmm.
that can be shared on spur of the moment with the doctors,
Mm-hmm.
with my health records as VCs, and my health records are shared, or
Mm-hmm.
at least a VC that I have been a patient at this hospital, so that
Mm-hmm.
that hospital can be contacted, like as a base, as a start. So we need to,
Mm-hmm.
figure out these starts wherein it's a pain point for that organization and that holder. And when both of these two places, identify that yes, this is um, this is a problem, and if by implementing SSI we can avoid that problem, then nothing better than it, right?
Right.
So I think it just starts step by step. We need to identify the problem that needs to be handled first, and
Mm-hmm.
that can be handled at the base level. and
Mm-hmm.
then rapid adoption, like adoption. Like if I start from step one in banking,
Mm-hmm.
wherein I start by with banking accounts or with KYC in one
Mm-hmm.
setup, like maybe in savings account setup, and
Mm-hmm.
then gradually I expand to other levels. I
Mm-hmm.
think even the people will start forcing the banking industry to can you please go to Soul Wallet and start using that? It's very easy for us to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Another case, I think, case in point would be when we go to hotels where we are giving out and they're actually making, copies of our identities and they know exactly where we live. And case in
Right,
point for the younger generation, who go to the bars and have to show their licenses to prove their age. And
right,
anybody could be making a note and harassing them. All these,
correct.
absolutely, I totally agree with you,
Even in
identifying
legal
pain points.
matters, I think, yeah, even in legal matters, I think, wherein verification
Mm-hmm.
should be legally bound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I cannot display the identity of somebody else and move in, or a fake identity.
Mm-hmm.
So with SSI, we ensure that the identity shared by the user
Mm-hmm.
will be 100% authentic. It cannot be faked or tampered with, right?
Right.
So I think it will also aid the legal industry to, handle these kind of situations. Like you're saying that people need to, people go for parties and all and need to display their identity cards at traffic signals. They need to display their license to the traffic police guy, or, you know, other sorts of things wherever these kind of age limitations are coming, or limitations with respect to your police record is coming, or your passport authentication needs to be done, Aadhaar card authentication needs to be done. These can be hastened up. Like today the policeman just sees your identity card, right? He
Mm-hmm.
cannot verify that is it an original card or not,
Right.
right? It can be
Right.
a fake card generated by, today we have so many AI tools to just enter the
3D
details and get
printers.
3D printers, etc. Yeah,
3D.
not even 3D printer. I need a normal printer to do it. But but still, what I want to say is that today, getting those fake identity cards has become a usual norm, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Though the government has tightened their strings to not let them out these things, but still
Mm-hmm.
they're circulating, and it is very hard to identify a fake from an original, right?
Right.
But with
Right.
VCs, we can ensure that what the police officer sees and
Mm-hmm.
verifies is
Mm-hmm.
original, right?
And
So
not as
yeah,
a PDF, but as more as a proof. No, you're not actually giving them out your PDFs, which is the case again causes the
correct.
same
He
issue.
just does not have to see my data. He does
Right.
not require to see my data. I can still, without even showing my data, I can prove that I am
Right.
so and so. Yeah.
And that the technology that we, or the protocol that we use is zero knowledge proof for that.
Right.
And there could be many more protocols out there. There could be many more underlying, foundational key pieces of technology out there that make it a lot more secure, a
Mm.
lot more fast, a lot more, you know, failure and points of failure are reduced, and all such things. And we are happy to be contributing to part of that through Solverse, and we look forward to more. And it's been great talking to you both, Saransh and Anusha, and my co-host Ali, who is puts all of this together and enables all of us to have wonderful conversations on Soul Show. This is number 5, and do not forget, you listeners. All of you, everyone who's been working, who's thinking of working in using blockchain technologies and building something, um, think broader, higher, and larger, and reach out to us. Thank you all, and have a great day, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are. And we'll see you again for Soul Show number 6. Thank you all. Let me sign off.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.